devoted fans of this small but perfectly formed podcast will know, I'm a big believer that emotional intelligence is one of the real, sort of superpowers that we can have for navigating the world, especially nowadays, with all its complexity, volatility, uncertainty, and real sort of division. It often feels like the critical components of emotional intelligence, and I'm thinking of your own self-management, self-awareness, empathy, are often out of reach. I feel sometimes it's getting out of reach for myself, such as the kind of helplessness and rage that I feel sometimes. It's the hardest time I've ever known for keeping those raw emotions in check, or at least it is for me. And sort of going alongside that, it's the most important time to use our emotional intelligence. I went to a talk given by John Robb, the musician and an author, a couple of months ago it was, and he asked the question, "Do you believe in the power of rock and roll?" And it made me think, do I? What can music do? Music's always been my friend, even when the world's going to shit, and especially when the world's going to shit. And believe me, being in the UK this past week really makes me think that it is. It's always been there. It's always been a constant in my life. It's made me laugh. It's made me cry. It's dug me out of holes. And I've always believed that that politics, protest, and social commentary belong in music. It's not to say that you can have a fun time writing music. Absolutely not. But I always feel positive when I hear about or listen to musicians that care, ones that believe that we really need to strive for unity. All of which is a long way of saying that my guest today is doing just that, with his own music, to try and bridge those divides with messages of unity, peace, and freedom. So I'll stop there and welcome Marquise Fair to the show. Marquise, thanks, but we got there. We got to speak.
Yes,
So
yes. Thank you
pleased.
for having me.
Really great to see you. Great to see you.
Yes. What's up, Giles? I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Really good. So maybe let's start with with Better World, the last single I think that you released, which is a kind of like a collaboration really with Einat Batsael, I think, is that how you pronounce it, and Nima Del Navazi,
Not
two other musicians. Yeah.
okay. The first album is called Ripple.
Mm.
So Ripple is my first album, and the bassist from that first album is the husband of Inat,
Okay.
the singer, the woman from Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Um, so but the idea of the first album of being a ripple.
Mm.
The ripple is supposed to create a wave that makes a better world. It's supposed
Yeah.
to make a wave that's gonna, it's like the butterfly, not the butterfly effect, but the idea of this collective consciousness. How
Yeah.
if one person has a thought, or a group of people have a thought, it'll somehow become a prevalent in the consciousness of everybody around the world because it's a
Got you.
collective consciousness that exists. So it's that kind of idea with the music. We're creating a ripple that's going to make a wave that's going to create a
Right.
better world. So,
Okay.
and coming into Better World from Ripple, uh, we had to try to encompass parts of what we believe into the music. And
Mm.
we already had we already kind of had it half the way because I'm from Miami.
Mm.
David is from Switzerland. And so we already were kind of making a world connection, a world
Mm.
bridging. And David went to Iran and
Mm.
met a sitar player. And they're going through a lot of political turmoil in Iran right now.
Mm.
And using people from different sides of different battles and different political and ethnic and religious views, and putting them
Mm.
all together on one album, on one song, to try to kind of create another different type of wave
Mm.
coming from people who are good people. They all just want to live and be happy, and they're not out here trying to fight. They're not doing the war. That's the people who, that's their government that's doing that. Most of the people
mm,
that live in these places, they're peaceful people. The musicians, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're, family people.
yeah, yeah. That's an interesting one with the because of the yeah I mean the world sort of feels each country sort of feels like it's doing stuff on its own. I mean even within the over this side of into Europe, they have the European Union, but things still feel very kind of isolationist. And kind of governments are sort of fighting more than ever, just for their own kind of part, like really to the, almost like to the point where everything else sort of gets ignored. Um, it's very very insular, isn't it?
It is. I think the old way is slowly but surely losing its grip
Mm,
because the old people are dying and the people
yeah,
who are replacing them didn't grow up with the
yeah,
same xenophobic ideas and feelings and ways of doing
mm,
things. So
mm,
that's probably why they're fighting so hard and why things are the way they are right now because people are trying so hard to hold on to the old ways
mm,
because we are the difference. We are the change. We're like
yeah,
right now using methods to communicate like we're doing right now. This didn't happen 30,
yeah,
40 years ago, 50 years ago.
yeah. I mean, thinking about that sort of question in of the power of rock and roll or music. I've thought quite a bit about what sort of role it has because I guess kind of music has always been about protest. So there's always sort of had that element. I wonder. I guess one of the things I think about because it's become such a I guess sort of a commodity. And you see so much from kind of quotes from Spotify CEO, about just sort of creating content and stuff like that, which is a pretty derogatory towards musicians. I
Yeah.
I I wonder, in people's eyes, the people that are listening to artists on Spotify, and there's a lot of sort of single playlists and things like that. I wonder if it's harder now to get messages across if people really sort of react the same. I don't know. It feels different.
It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult.
Mm,
That's like I'm surprised with the little bit of listeners that I do get or the traction that I do have.
mm,
Um, Even with that, I'm surprised most of the time because it's very very hard to find a legit promotion company that actually is
right.
actually finding you real people to listen to your music. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to find a mom and pop company, and those in America especially don't really exist.
Mm,
You're gonna have to. It's a niche, and it's a very closed niche market to where it's the majors and the people who worked for the majors and their little networks.
mm,
And then unless you find those networks, which you can find them, but unless you find those networks, being able to be heard is very very difficult and it's very costly. It's very expensive.
yeah.
Um, you can't even if I put out a song of my own right now on my own platform, getting people to go to my platform and trust my platform enough to
Yeah.
purchase something from my platform is already in itself a huge hurdle. You
Yeah.
know, but if it's Spotify or if it's a platform they already know, and all they gotta do is press a button and they can listen to it real quick, and then or if it shows up on their phone because they put a playlist and it's whatever
Mm,
comes up, then they find an artist like that. That's what people are doing, and that's what the masses do because that's what the masses do.
yeah. I've got it. I mean, it's just so frustrating. I mean, I feel frustrated. I mean, God knows what you feel like with that when you have these sort of the biggest, most untrustworthy corporations that you have, but people put their trust in them. I don't know.
I'm surprised that Spotify is even being used right now, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm being forced to use them.
yeah.
Um,
This is it.
it's like you don't even have an option.
Mm.
You know, at the end of the yeah. But at the end of the day, the music isn't really for me, it's for the people. And
Yeah,
I want them to get it. I want them to hear it.
yeah.
So
Go back to the record, to Better World, and the and sort of putting that together. I mean, what was what were you feeling when you were kind of putting that? I mean, were you doing that remotely, or did you get together
we
to
were
do
doing it
that?
remotely.
Doing it remotely, okay.
Yeah.
And
Um,
how were you kind of feeling when when it was sort of being assembled and sort of coming together?
well, that was a rough time. That was during COVID.
Sure, you're right, yeah,
So it was a very eerie feeling. But
yeah.
we also I kind of felt like we were fighting a good fight, almost like the world was going to shit and we were trying to
Mm,
bring some light into it, or try to, steer it in a different direction.
yeah,
And I felt like we were doing something very important,
yeah.
something, bigger than ourselves.
I guess yeah, I mean, I think it's funny, isn't it? When I guess when you sort of doing those, the amount of sort of self belief to to kind of keep going with those, and I'm a big believer that those those efforts that you make to create things, that you persevere and do those, you keep doing your own thing, and eventually things sort of happen. And I think that those sort of things are just so valuable, to kind of keep doing that.
And I was struggling during this time too. Like I never experienced not being able to go to work in my
Yeah,
life. I never been able to,
yeah,
like, I started gigging when I was like 22.
yeah.
That was how I made my money for most of my life. And overnight, I couldn't go to gigs. I couldn't do anything. I don't have like, if you go to the government and say, oh, I worked here or I worked there, and then you get like
Yeah.
you get money for what you would have been doing.
Mm.
How was I going to do that?
Yeah.
What gig was paying me? I wasn't on any salary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that thing, that was it was a super super rough time. And then doing the song, doing the working on the song was one of the things that helped keep me a little motivated, keep me positive, keep me still feeling like, something's happening. I'm pushing, I'm still moving forward. So,
Yeah. 'Cause it was I mean, what I mean, looking back at that, what I mean, it's yeah, I totally hear you on on how tough it was. And, I sort of felt very I mean, I was going through some stuff with my parents, at that time. My mum had, I think it's like in 2019, beginning of 2019, she'd been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And then, 2020, it started to get worse. And of course, then I couldn't go and see her. You weren't allowed to visit.
and
And then
I'm
like
sorry to
my
hear that,
dad.
bro.
Yeah, no, no, thank you. Yeah. And then, my dad he was living on his own. I couldn't go up to see him. This was all sort of still very
And
new for him. They'd been together since like 1950 or something like that.
crazy,
Uh,
man. It's
I mean,
amazing.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there was a sort of small part of him that was sort of thinking, "Oh, I'm on my own finally." No, I couldn't. No, I shouldn't make light of it. But I think in some way he was, when the novelty wore off, then shit got real. And it was like, oh, she's not here anymore. And yeah, so I felt it was a rough time for them. And it was something that I'd never, probably none of us have ever sort of experienced before. And I wonder, I've never actually thought about this myself, but I wonder what I kind of took away from it. Did I come out a stronger person after that?
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you feel about how you kind of
I
responded
think
to?
ev I think everybody that went through it, we all have a collective trauma,
Mm,
and everybody that went through it, we all went through it together, and that
mm,
bonded us. It made us stronger. It made us bond.
mm,
We all bonded by going through a collective trauma.
mm,
Um, and it's a way that everybody that was alive during this time, we will always be able to go back to this time and have a collective bond because we all
mm.
went through a
All
collective
went
trauma.
through it.
So I mean, I don't. I don't have any opinion about was it good or bad or what it did, but what I
Mm,
can say is that, you you either grow from something or you get hurt by it. But at the end of the day, if you
yeah,
know, you're the only one that knows, you know.
yeah, yeah,
But I think,
absolutely.
I mean, we have to be very strong in these times, man, because it's very, very easy to sink into depression and
Yeah,
into wallowing in your filth and stuff like
yeah,
that, because it's fucking easy. It's pretty easy to let that
it
for
really
that to
is.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think you sort of everything that you see does, and I really believe that sort of media plays a role in this. You know, about the sort of stuff that it sort of pumps out to you, not just social media, but the kind of mainstream media. It's just the same kind of stuff that sort of sinks in, and yeah, I have to take breaks and stop watching shit. And I'm usually sort of pretty positive, but I've felt myself like going downhill. Like is there any way out of this shit? It's
It's very irresponsible, man. Like the
mm,
people who are in control and the platforms that people have, the amount of misinformation and the
mm,
amount of coercing and
mm,
from getting people riled up for money,
yeah,
for views, not because you actually feel that way, not because you actually retarded. You want to
yeah,
pretend to be so that way you can make money or so that way you can get views. And that is way more detrimental than people can even really realize. They don't understand the power of, the
yeah,
media and
yeah.
the power of television. And
Do you feel that in any way that things are changing? Like this the kind of the extent of we're probably going off on a tangent here, but I think it's okay. And this is all right actually because I kind of like talking about this for a while. But do you think that that the extent to which we've um, that capitalism is such a massive part of everybody's lives now that there's a kind of resistance to it. Do you feel? I mean,
we
I don't
have
know.
to.
I
Okay, so I have a good. I took an economics course in high school, and I
mm,
love economics. It's one of my favorite courses in school.
yeah,
Um, and the teacher kept talking about we were talking about capitalism and socialism, and the
mm,
reason why America has been able to last so long, and the only reason why we've been able to last is because we've always had a healthy balance between capitalism and socialism.
yeah,
One will always push, but then it'll always get pushed back. You know, we don't have health care for everybody, but we do have social security, which you can
mm,
apply for and you'll be able to go to the hospital and have it paid for.
mm,
We don't have we have food stamps, but we don't have other things. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's
yeah.
but there's private things and all that stuff. But there's a
Mm,
private and there's a public sector to almost everything,
got you. Yeah.
and that gives us the balance.
Mm,
So, but I think naturally as human beings, capitalism is against our nature.
mm, yeah.
So we naturally fight against it. We naturally are against capitalism. However, if we can balance it and not
Mm,
let it take forefront, it's possible that we can use it. It can
yeah.
be used in a sustainable way. But right now, the way things are with the corporations having the power, they don't care about that, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's not being used sustainably, and it's literally killing us.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I'd agree with you on that.
That sun is no joke. I
No,
literally was in the sun. I still have it on my neck. I have a scar. I have a literal scab on my neck
really,
from the sun.
from the
A
sun.
scab from the
Wow.
sun. Riding on my motorcycle, going just riding through the day. I come back home, feel a burn on my neck. All right, I got sunburn, so what? But no, it's a scab and it's
It's a
still
scab.
there. Uh-huh. That's how
Wow.
hot the sun was. That's never happened to me in my life.
That's kinda crazy. I was gonna talk to you about, that it's quite warm in London at the moment, but I think I'll leave that one because it's obviously there's no comparison to that. Shit,
Man,
that's
it's
that's really bad.
ridiculous here.
That's really
It
bad.
is. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's
It's weird 'cause we were in India the first part of this year, first 3 months of this year, and by March, probably beginning to middle of March, it was with the humidity, it started to get really humid as well. It was like 47 degrees. That's Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I don't know, but it's fucking hot. It's really hot. It's like anything getting into 40s is kind of crazy. And it was like, with the humidity, it was getting up to, the late 40s. It's just insane. But yeah,
so
there's
it's probably like in the hundreds if you do it
yeah, I'd say
Fahrenheit.
probably 120, probably something going up for
120, you
that.
could die, bro.
Yeah, it's too hot. Yeah, it's too hot for this
So
head, I tell you.
did you have to wear like a wet like
I don't-
rag over your head or
yeah,
something? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. The hat was getting that was getting caned a lot.
But they know how to survive. The people who live there, they know what to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should stay out of it. Stay, but anyway, listen, talk, thinking about when you were a kid, when you were sort of growing up, and the sort of things that shaped who you are. Those sort of formative influences, whether it's whatever kind of music inspired you, or people that you were hanging out with. What what do you remember from that time as being the kind of the big things that shaped who you are?
Well, when I was very young, from like 3 or 4
Mm,
to I say like 13.
mm,
In that time period, I was I was heavy on I don't know if you know about these shows by African Americans. There'll be 5 guys, and the 5 guys will be singers, and then they'll have a show about their lives. One of them is the 5 Heartbeats.
okay.
Um the other one would be the Temptations. The
Yeah.
Temptations movie is five
Yeah.
guys. It's their 5 different lives. They all sing in a band. They all sing against other people that sing. That's how they
Yeah.
compete. So when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to go outside. I wasn't allowed to have friends outside of school. I wasn't allowed to listen to the radio, and I wasn't allowed to watch cable. So I had very few things that I could do to have fun. So I played video games, which I was allowed to do. I also was allowed to watch the Temptations movie. That was one of the movies that was allowed in the house. So that movie, I seen it a gazillion times.
So many times. Yeah.
I wanted to be David Ruffin,
Yeah.
even though he was doing cocaine and all this type of stuff, and like, he was crazy or
It's
whatever,
like,
bro.
I
I did
ignore
not.
that bit. I'll just take him without that. That's fine.
I don't know why. I just knew that I just wanted to be like him. I don't
You
know.
just kind
I
of
didn't.
gravitated towards him.
I gravitated towards him since I
Yeah.
was a kid, and
Wow.
then my very first performance was me emulating him.
Right.
And when I came back from Switzerland the first time, when I was 20 something, 23, I came into the studio to go in New York. And when I walk into the studio, guess who's sitting in the studio right there in front
No.
of me, bro?
No.
The guy who I grew up wanting to be like my entire life.
Oh
Grew
my
up emulating.
God.
He's sitting in the studio right there, man. I said, Leon. He looked up.
That's
He's like,
crazy.
yeah, he took me in the studio with him. He gave me his email. He invited me to his show.
Oh my
It was
God.
it was awesome, man.
Oh my God. I
That
mean,
so
that is
that
insane that happened.
so yeah, so that my entire childhood was me wanting to be like those guys.
Yeah.
And then when I turned like 13, I kind of moved to the rougher areas. And I had
Mm,
like a different lifestyle. I could go outside.
mm.
I could have friends outside of school. I could
But
do what I wanted to do pretty much any 24/7 all day because yeah, it's just how you
was
could
it,
do it's different.
if it's not too personal a question, please say if it is, but those early years when you weren't allowed to have friends outside of school, was that something that your, kind of family or carers sort of dictated to you?
My grandmother knew that eventually she was gonna die and she wasn't gonna be here. So she had
Yeah.
to try to instill in as much discipline and as much of her unaltered influence into us
Right.
in the
Right.
smallest amount of time.
Right.
So that was the reason for cutting off all the
I
other
see.
influences outside
I
of
see.
school to try to keep
Yeah.
us as much of her influence so that by the time she died and I moved to the ghetto, I would be like a church boy and it would be kind of impossible to take me on the wrong path. Which
Yeah.
it kind of worked. I mean, it pretty much worked.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say that those that age, when that was happening, I mean, those are the times when you what happens around you sort of sinks in the most, and you kind of remember. I still remember stuff that happened to me in those sort of early years, and they stick with you. You
Yeah.
don't kind of forget them, and I mean, interestingly, there's some things that happened where I, like for example, trust. Sometimes if people don't trust what I'm doing, because I had an issue with like my dad not trusting something that I was saying, a few times, and he was wrong, and that's caused me that if people don't trust what I'm doing, even now, God knows how many years later, I'm still like, ugh, it still
Yeah.
pisses me off, It's weird. So
I
yeah,
get it.
that those sort of times, yeah, that what your grandmother was doing was clearly because she believed that, yeah, this is going to stick.
And that makes me not want to be in prison. It makes me it makes me like so I lived in a prison when I was a kid. That was prison to me. It was
Yeah.
prison. We got corporal punishment for every mistake. She
Wow.
was literally trying to
Really?
like, make us saints or whatever. I don't know. But fucking excuse my language, but
No, no, that's
yeah,
okay.
that made me super rebellious. It made me even though I'm still a positive person and I'm still very like I want peace and stuff like that, I'm still super rebellious. Like I
Yeah.
do. If there's a way to break the rule, and if I think a rule isn't, if you give me a rule and that rule does not sit well with my
Yeah.
common sense, and I'm not
Yeah.
following that rule. I don't like bureaucracy. I don't like bureaucrats. I don't like bureaucracy. Bureaucrats make my skin boil because if it wasn't for them, people like Hitler would never be able to exist. People
Yeah.
who do the most heinous things are the bureaucrats. They
Yeah.
take a rule, you give them, tell them to do something. You got a uniform on. You told me to do it. I'll do it. Don't
Yeah.
care what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I get
it made me anti-bureaucracy. It made me anti
anti-bureaucracy. Yeah. Yeah. Because you sort of had your own kind of enclosed walls that you sort of
drill
couldn't
sergeant.
couldn't. But you've also had from an early age that kind of strong moral compass that you've had,
Yeah,
which is then cause where you see the injustices, see that things are wrong, then you're not going to sit back and accept that. Yeah.
yeah. I was supposed to go to the military. That was supposed to be that's what my family does. It's either you go to college or you go to the military.
Mm,
All of the men in my family back, from slavery, because we got, I have African American,
mm,
and Native American.
mm,
But
yeah.
as you go back, all of the men fought because that was fighting for the army is one of the only ways as a man, as a black man, or during those times and up until now, count even as a black man, it's a very safe way for you to ensure that you can be a man.
Mm,
That you can at least provide. You can at least,
yeah.
walk around proud. You don't have to be too afraid, but you still have to, walk a little bit on the eggshell because you make the wrong mistake and you'll be in jail just like the rest of the people that they're trying to get in jail. So that's a thing. Going to the army is a thing. Fighting for our country is a thing, and so that kind of was instilled in me as well to fight for this country, to fight for America, to love America.
Mm,
My grandma was a Republican, and she wanted
mm,
me to be, very pro America.
mm,
Um, but I am pro America, but I'm also pro world, and I'm pro peace, and I,
yeah.
you know, I think
Yeah.
nationality of being so proud of with anything is a slippery slope. You
I
know,
I agr- I agree with you. I mean, so you know, nationalism is such a loaded word, these days, isn't it? And I've never been particularly patriotic. I just I don't know. I just
My
see
grandma
the
was a super patriot,
yeah.
super patriot. She loved this
I
thing.
just always see the. I remember even kind of back in the. So I'm 56. Going back to so I remember like one of the big political kind of things in the UK. One of the first things that I remember on a kind of global scale was the uh, war in the Falkland Islands, just off Argentina in 1981, I think it was. And the
Right.
British government had fucking sovereignty of this tiny, tiny island off Argentina. I mean, you probably couldn't get further away, and there was this. So the British went to war under the Thatcher government to reclaim this island, which had been invaded by Argentina, and there was this huge, like, basically, if you were against that war, you shouldn't be in the country. It was that sort of rhetoric that was being even then that was being spouted by the media, and it just left me cold. I was just like, why do and this kind of gets all linked into the sort of colonialism of the English and stuff like that.
That shit is
Uh, uh,
crazy to me.
oh man,
That's fucking
it's
baffling, bro. Like
oh, I tell you, yeah. I mean, so,
the
it's the main reason we've
balls.
never ever dealt with that. We've never admitted any wrongdoing. We've never come to terms with that. It's never talked about in the schools. The education is so white focused.
Whitewashing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah. So what was it? So talk about the military. What was your opinion of kind of of sort of military service?
Well, I think for one, I think as a male, every male should not should, but every male would benefit from being in some type of service like that.
Mm,
Not because you're gonna fight for the country though, not because you're going to war.
yeah,
Because you get physically healthy.
yeah,
Um, you learn how to defend yourself.
yeah,
Um, the more I feel like the more a person becomes like that, the more they have to be careful about how they treat people and how they are in
mm,
certain situations because they are dangerous and they can hurt people. So they can't be as aggressive or
yeah,
as you can't scare people. People will get scared easily. You have to be a little bit more. You have
yeah,
to move a little bit more gracefully.
yeah.
Uh, so also the camaraderie with the people that you go through the training with. But other than the
True.
training,
Yeah,
there is no real reason for I don't really
yeah,
other than the training, we don't necessarily need militaries. We have to figure out a way. There is a sustainable way for us to live with each other without fighting. The
yeah,
problem is that these old school dudes, they're not finna stop fighting, bro. These Putin dudes, they got old
yeah,
beef from
yeah.
I don't even know who beef he fighting. He fighting his great great
Yeah.
grand uncle's beef right now, bro. They don't
Right
even
now,
understand.
yeah.
We can never understand what beef they fighting. they,
No, exactly. It's like
you
whoever
know,
he's doing, he's sort of projecting some other kind of character from his past onto this new guy that he's having his beef with for sure. I totally agree. I mean, as horrible as it sounds, you're right. The next generation. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, this might be me being completely sort of rose
they,
tinted glasses, but it's got to be better than what it is now.
yeah.
I
I
fucking
mean,
hope. I don't know though. I
My
don't know.
thing is, my thing is that I don't know to what extent the training of these. So they're training the people that's going to replace them. You
Mm,
know, they're
yeah,
training them to be they want the way they want them to be, so
yeah,
that way they replace them and continue their agenda.
yeah. I agree.
So how how in depth is their training? Are we strong enough? Are we good enough to have gotten through to them
Yeah,
even while they
yeah,
were being trained? That's the
yeah,
question.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same kind of thing with you know, like with AI, for example, you know, that you know, whatever goes into it, you know, into the start of it has got all these sort of human biases because the humans created it. We've all got biases that so basically like how it started. There's bias already built into it. It's kind of similar thing with, like you say, for leaders or for, you know, future leaders of the government, of sort of corporations, that people get, for want of a better word, groomed into this sort of role. You know, that there's okay, then they're coming in with the bias that the extra bias that they've been given by their tutors.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like they can see from our point of view, and that's why I was just thinking. I was like, man, it's hopefully something happens to where like mushroom like psilocybin gas is like spread out the planet or some shit like that. Hopefully, I
Yeah,
don't know. I
yeah,
feel like that would make it impossible for the people who
yeah.
can't see to not see. They would have to see, and then maybe we'll be all right.
So with the like sorry, go back to, I'm interested, like when you were at schools, you know, the sort of people that you sort of gravitated towards, you know, the ones where you felt that there was that bond. What sort of people were you kind of hanging out with?
Huh, that is a very interesting question. I guess I would say so. First of all, I was a huge loner, so
Mm,
I was by myself a lot. I was very melancholic, always listening to music, always
yeah,
singing to myself. You know,
yeah,
in my feelings and emotional all the time. Man,
yeah.
I should have been emo. I should have had a bang. You know, oh man, I would have been the best emo kid. So,
Is emo your guilty pleasure? It is, isn't it?
probably that's probably what it is. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I never thought about it like that.
I know what your next record's going to be. You heard it here first. It's going to be an emo record. No, I'm only kidding.
Nah, nah. But what was I saying?
About you were a loner. You were listening to
Ah,
music a lot.
so the people that I hung around with. So
Mm,
it was only two groups of people or two separate types of people that I would hang around with, and it was either the very nerdy kids who nobody
mm,
hung out with, or the super ghetto raunchy kids, like
yeah,
the ones who nobody hung out with as well,
yeah,
because they were
yeah,
like, you might fight or something. Like they just retarded. They do dumb shit. I don't know what the heck is wrong with these kids, but they just
yeah,
bad, bro. It's just always doing stupid, retarded stuff.
yeah,
I don't understand. I can't even tell you why or how. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much who I was hanging out with in school. If I wasn't trying to talk to some girl, I was definitely always trying to talk to a girl as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
So,
my home.
yeah. It's interesting on the sort of nerds, for example. You know, and the
Mhm.
kind of the nerdy kids. There is so many musicians that have that experience of childhood. You know, kind of feeling like an outsider. You know, sort of
Yeah,
feeling like okay, I don't really fit in.
black sheep for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's they kind of gravitate to, you know, if it's you know, people in the, I don't know, kind of punk group or the or whatever, you
yep,
you know,
yep,
it's like outsiders to outsiders.
yep. The kids who
Interesting.
didn't fit into the norm of the school. Yep.
Which is kind of what we want, you know, the you know, why do we want everybody to conform? We have this thing, don't we, in society about conforming. It's funny. I was just doing I've been doing a written article for a band, and we were talking about this thing around conformity. You know, about how society creates conformist this conformist framework where, you know, we feel
Hmm.
like we have to, you know, kind of wear the same clothes and, you know, buy all that kind of stuff.
You're gonna like one of my songs. I have a line saying exactly what you're talking about right now. It's coming out
Yeah.
too on the next
Okay.
album
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
on Better
It's
World. It's gonna be yeah.
brilliant. I mean, I think it's it's weird how we a lot of but you know how that stops us thinking for ourselves and why we don't think for ourselves, or maybe we do think for ourselves, but then don't do anything about it. Just sort of follow the. I mean, I've done it on
I
several,
do it
you
all
know,
the time.
through my life, you know? I
Yeah.
understand that there's a comfort in that, isn't there, sometimes?
Well, at the end of the day, like, so I've been fighting to be an individual since I was a kid,
Yeah,
trying to be an individual in the ghetto, and coming from being with my grandmother and being very strong headed. I was very confident in myself. I
yeah,
knew that I was going to be okay. I knew that I'd be able to pay my rent. I'd be able to feed myself. I'd be able to get it. I knew that being successful would not be a problem when it came
yeah,
to the bureaucracy of things, the way that
yeah,
the system was set up. I was
mm,
raised in a system to be a beast in the system.
yeah,
So the system is not a problem for me.
mm,
My problem is that there's something fundamentally flawed with the system, and I don't really want to be a part of it.
yeah, that's very
So
true.
here I am from a young, 12, 13 years old, like trying to figure out what do I find my place? How do I get to be myself? How do and without, I have to be a part of the system. I'm functioning because I have to and I do it, and it's easy because I just all I got to do is beat bare minimums, and I'm gonna be okay. Like if I just get
Mm,
C's and B's, I'll be okay. I don't have to get A's. I don't have to get A's and B's. I can get
mm,
C's and D's and literally make it through in America,
mm,
um, up until college, and then you had to actually put in effort,
mm,
which I did, and I graduated. So I'm just saying, like that part of life to me is very easy. The other side of life, where you actually get to live and you get to actually experience things, and you get to travel, and you get to, I don't know, pursue a goal that's specifically based off of your desire and not how much money you want to make. You
mm.
know, that was what I've been trying to be and do. So I've been trying to be an individual for a very long time. And just recently, more so now when I'm in my 30s, I'm young 30s, 31, 32, I'm starting to feel more like I need to conform. Like I need to, dress
Are
like
you?
other people dress or work like other people work. And I'm thinking about going back to school because I want to be a part of something too. I want to have a community as well. As an
Yeah,
artist, and especially artists like me, bro, there's no other artist that I know that sing with the same kind of oomph.
mm,
That alone will get you canceled in every circle where anybody's playing music. You
mm,
gotta be at least. You can't be, you gotta be, tone it down a little bit if you want to be able to be accepted by all the circles. And when it comes to musicians, it's competition with me. There is no real camaraderie. I get camaraderie from the bass players. I'll
yeah,
get camaraderie maybe from a drummer. But if it's any type of frontman around, and usually bands have their own frontman, especially in Miami, you're not gonna really find a band that doesn't have a frontman.
mm.
So when it comes to bonding with bands, it's not really a thing with me. It's more of competition. So I want to find
But individual musicians you would do? You would kinda bond with
individual
it?
musicians I've been able
Yeah,
to bond with, but when it comes to
yeah,
groups,
to
it,
groups.
it's a problem.
So
Most musicians, even individuals, have their own band, and when you
yeah,
have to meet the group, that's when the dynamics change.
it is, yeah, that's true. That's very true,
It's
actually, because of that group is that band is a kind of unit.
Yep, they're tight. And you bringing in somebody that can disrupt, like especially if you could take the place of the lead. I mean, these kids been together since high school and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
very,
yeah,
very tight knit, very strong. And I don't really have that because I was in the ghetto. Nobody in the ghetto is playing no instruments. Everybody's
yeah,
either playing sports or doing smoking weed or something.
yeah. So what do you feel now that you need to do?
Now, what I need to do,
Yeah,
honestly, no, honestly, I don't really need to do anything but continue to live my life. Things organically and naturally happen as long as I continue on an honest path for myself.
so you're gonna yeah, okay, yeah, that sorry, okay, so
Yeah.
that it's
I
that path like being, kind of true to that sort of vision of almost like instinctive.
Right, exactly. If I want to pursue something, as long as it's a natural desire for me to pursue it and it's not coming from an outside influence to look like or be like or to have something that somebody else has.
Yeah.
That's when you start doing things and then you fucking get to the end of it and you're like, holy shit, I don't even like this.
Mm.
You know? and I've been there before, and I'm not going back there.
Do you so do you feel more of a need to conform now, or
Go ahead.
in some
Um,
ways?
um, uh, yes, for an experience.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
For
I
experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can sort of understand that.
My best music is made my best music is made when I'm experiencing life. When
Yeah,
I'm in school or when I'm working towards something or I'm in a group or I'm in a project or
mm.
doing something, things like that. That's when my best music is made. I'm experiencing things, a lot of different my brain is being, activated.
And does that sort of include your kind of physical environment? So perhaps, not being in another city because I mean, you spent time in Switzerland, I think, but like other cities. So if I wonder that the importance of the of those sort of environments in terms of the energy sometimes that for example, cities can give off and the different kind of vibes. I mean, do you think that that might play
It
like
plays
a
a
role in your creativity.
It does, it does. Where I am, definitely plays a role. Like, for instance, when I'm in Miami, I don't necessarily like to write music. I don't really want to even. I don't want to sing for people. I don't want to
Mm,
perform. I don't really want to even. I only want to create emotional music. I only want to be
mm,
like, sad and mad and rough and like, only rebellious stuff. That's how I feel when I'm here because Miami is a very, very want to be New York without the same money. Um,
yeah.
it's a new city. It's a lot. It's very just it's a mess, man. Miami is it's okay. It's my city. It is what it is, I guess. But it's just for me as an artist, this is not the place to be.
I mean,
Um,
I wonder if you get that feeling because that's where you grew up and there's like an association with, childhood and, that's
people,
what that city kind of represents for you.
when I say Miami to anybody, they're like, "Oh, paradise, paradise."
Yeah.
Paradise. So then when I talk about paradise, it's not in a way and not in a paradise way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
is people always get a little like, oh, exactly what you said. It's the way that I'm looking at it because I'm from here.
Yeah.
But I
I've
guess that's yeah.
no, go ahead.
I would say that's true, but I mean, it's not really true. I'm African American, and I don't think people understand, that being African American is a very unique thing on the planet to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Th- No group likes us. That includes Jamaicans, Haitians, uh, Africans,
Mm,
white people who Mexicans, Peruvians,
mm,
Colombians, Venezuelans. We are the least liked group, but
mm,
the most favored and the least liked.
mm,
So people all around the world emulate us. They want to be like us. They listen to our music. They try to dress like us. They try to put their hair like us. But at the end of the day, when you actually are in a setting in a system that's set up against us,
yeah.
we are the criminals. People are afraid of us. People treat us like that every single day.
Yeah.
So when I'm in Switzerland, I am fucking I'm American.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not black.
Yeah.
I'm American. And I get
Mm,
treated with respect and people open their door to me and people talk to me politely and people are not afraid of me. They don't even
mm,
notice me standing next to them. When in Miami, oh my God, there's not a day that goes by that I don't get a clutch purse. I could be dressed like a
yeah.
saint
Yeah.
and they're gonna clutch that purse and go and wait for me to go by before they come back outside. In
Yeah.
Switzerland, I have never once experienced one person even fidget because I was there,
Mm, mm.
you know? So the experience is night and day. And
Night
when
and
I'm
day, isn't
there,
it?
I can live, I can breathe. The water, the food, the people, even them just ignoring me and letting me live. That
Yeah.
alone. That's why Tina
That's some freedom, isn't it? Yeah.
That's
Freedom in
freedom.
your
That's why
mind.
Tina Turner went. I know for a fact that's why she stayed there. That's why she never left. She was
Yeah.
actually able to live. She could go outside and nobody was gonna come up and be like, "Give me your autograph, come to my house, or do it." They were gonna do it based off of they're in genuine interaction. If they genuinely bumped into you, and then somehow you got into a conversation, or if you guys were doing the same thing, and then you end up getting in a conversation, then you might make a friend, and then you find out it's Tina Turner. But other than that, they're
Yeah,
not like,
yeah,
"Oh, you're Tina Turner."
yeah.
You know, so that is freedom. That is peace. That
That's the
is
real freedom,
life.
yeah.
Yeah, that you get to live. I mean, it's a very unique thing that people don't. I mean, it's and they don't have to understand it. You know, it's just unless somebody like unless we say something about it or tell you, you know, it's not really like you're gonna. It's just like if I was a Mexican person, my experience would be unique and different. And if I told you about how it was here, it might be completely different than another person would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, I hear that. I mean, my partner's mixed race. Um her dad's Jamaican, her mum's white English, and they kinda met in Jamaica. Like, her mum went over to teach in Jamaica in, like, 1958, really kind of quite pioneering, really, and then
My dad's Jamaican too. Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then sort of came back to the UK around about sort of 67, 68. And yeah, I totally, she's been going through, sort of like a lot of things around, that, that sort of mixed experience,
Yeah.
of what it was like in
E-
the
e-
70s. I mean, even going through like 70s, 80s, 90s, and it's completely her unique experience,
Yep.
that
Yep.
that's there, which for a lot of kind of white people is, they deny it, they sort of talk over it, and so it's not that bad, is it really? That sort of attitude. It's like, no, it's her experience. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
and it's not for anybody to dwell on. It's not for you to feel bad about. It's not for you to,
Yeah,
it's literally just a reality that somebody has lived or does live,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
it, and that is what it is. Being aware of it, just that alone is already enough.
Yeah,
Your awareness is
yeah.
enough. You don't have to act on your awareness.
So for you, we touched on instinct, like a few minutes ago. So instinct and intuition,
One more
like
thing, one more thing. I want to add
yeah,
to
yeah,
that real quick.
yeah,
Just because we have a unique struggle, it doesn't deny that white people have unique struggles as well in their own,
absolutely.
just as much and just as hurtful or debilitating or uplifting in the same sense. But anyway,
No, no, no.
I just
You
want
know,
to
you're
say,
right, because that's often the argument that's then thrown back is, well, what kind of what about my experience? That's
yeah, but we're not talking about
so
your
we're not
experience.
denying that. I'm not
No,
denying that. This is saying this is what mine is or what my partner's is. That's it. Yeah. So intuition and sort of instinct. Which I think like I've sort of struggled over the years with. I mean, I trust my instinct, and I trust it more now. Um, than I ever did. But I always have had this sort of balance between going with my instinct and kind of wanting to sort of analyze things. So I'd like, okay, well, what if I do this? And I'd be thinking about, okay, well, if I do this, what about that? What about that? What about that? And then my instinct would be saying, just go with it. Your gut instinct, just saying, just sort of go with that one. And then I'd be like, no, no, just like have these battles inside myself, which used to frustrate the fuck out of me.
that's why I don't do it anymore, bro.
Yeah,
That's why I
good
don't
to
do
hear.
it anymore.
Good to hear that.
But laissez faire for me.
Yeah.
Laissez-faire. Let it happen. It'll happen
Mm,
organically, sustainably. It's the best
mm,
way. Because if you're not already doing the
yeah,
thing that it is that you need to be doing, then you're probably not ready to do it.
yeah,
Because you will organically and sustainably do whatever it is that you need to do as long as you have the goal. You got to know where you're going. And if you
yeah,
know where you're going, you can organically and sustainably do it without trying to fucking come with every avenue and every which way to try to
yeah,
make it
I
happen.
know.
Because then that's you being kind of slick. That's you being like a MacGyver or like a hustler. That's you
I
trying to
know,
hustle
yeah.
your way through the thing.
I know. It's but I think I've got over it now because also as well whenever that kind of happens and you choose something, you choose the path or whatever, and it maybe doesn't quite work out as you hope.
Never does.
There's always a solution to it. You always find a we are kind of adaptable, aren't we?
Yeah,
We always find
yeah,
ways,
and you'll
things that
find yeah, you'll find a way
yeah,
always, especially if you just like what my grandma used to say, "Well, there's a will, there's a way," and that has
yeah.
never ever not been true.
That's really true, that, isn't it? It's funny, isn't it? There are so many of these, like, old sayings,
I
we
got 'em for
call them
days. I
cliches, it's
have
all
them
those
for
cliches, but they're fucking genius, though.
I have them for days, man. And my grandma used to say, whenever I say I thought something, or I thought this, or I thought that, she was like, "You thought like Nelly," and Nelly thought cat mess was jelly.
We had one around thought. I thought this, and, like, my mum or dad would say, "Well, you know what thought did?" It's like, basically, where you think it, but you do nothing. It's not the thinking, it's the doing. Well, you know what thought
Oh,
did? Thought didn't do anything, just do it.
okay. Thought didn't do anything. Just do
Thought didn't
it.
do
You know
anything.
what thought did. I get it. All right, I
You just
like
sort of
that.
think, and then
That works.
you
Don't
just
think
sit
about it.
there
Just do
thinking.
it.
Yeah,
That helps out a lot. That good because then no, if you do it to yourself, then you're like, nah, just do it. Don't think about it.
just do it. Don't think about it.
Yeah,
Don't dwell on it. Which
yeah,
I did for God knows how many years of my life. Should I do that? I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
interesting, isn't it?
Might be
So,
better to have the experience, maybe. I mean, I don't necessarily. I'm not following my own advice because I definitely think probably a lot more than I do.
mm. So this again this you've mentioned a couple of times about empathy.
Hmm.
Which is obviously a big part of what you do. But I a similar kind of thing like emotional intelligence. This about how to kind of manage your emotions, how to kind of see things from other people's point of view. I mean, I just think that is so kind of important for how we live today. But it's never. I remember. So it's a bit of background. So I remember talking a few years ago to a pediatrician who
Uh-huh.
lives in Omaha, and she was like a big advocate for teaching emotional intelligence to kids, basically, like as soon as they're able to kind of learn.
Yeah.
You equip people with these kind of life
Yeah.
skills, if you want to call it that.
I studied psychology in college, and this
Mm,
was something that they talked about.
yeah.
Uh, they talked about emotional intelligence. It was my first time ever hearing anybody talk about emotional intelligence. This
Mm,
was in 2000 and maybe 13, 14.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but have yet to hear about any school incorporating it. I have yet to see the
Yeah.
results. I have yet to see a child or a teenager speak about emotional intelligence, or
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it. But when
Yeah.
I was in college 10 years ago, or whenever that was, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, um, I heard about it. you
Mm,
know so but what I was going to say was that another thing that I mean one thing that I think is a not a problem. I feel like anybody who is concerned with elevating themselves um intellectually um is going to find it themselves. Like
mm,
they'll find a way to get to the answers. Like they'll find a but for most people who live a very tailored life, meaning, from the moment they were born till every single day right now, everything is there ready
mm,
for them. Food, clothes, car, house, job, everything is lined up. All they have to do is just continue to not upset their parents. Just
yeah.
do what their parents want them to do. They're
Yeah.
never
It's true.
going to ever find the value in emotional intelligence.
It's true.
There
Yeah.
is
That's a good point.
no value. That emotional intelligence will devalue.
Mm,
But emotional intelligence will be the thing that could create a fork in their lifestyle.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's
I
the
get
only
you.
issue I see.
Yeah. No, I get. That's a really good point. Because then Yes, this sort of age old. I guess that sort of links into um that links in again to kind of capitalism and the you know the way that
Yeah.
wealth is preserved, transferred, not shared.
Mhm.
You know, and if you learn about emotional intelligence, particularly empathy, then you start to get into the caring, sharing.
Sharing.
You know,
Yeah.
dilute. Oh, this is diluted my wealth. Oh, I'm not so sure about this.
So then you started
That's a
like
really good
emotional
point.
intelligence might not be that important for me, and maybe it's something I shouldn't try to learn or I shouldn't get into because I don't want to create a conflict for my own self.
Yeah. So you can start to see why, you know, the establishment doesn't want to start teaching it wholesale in schools because that then starts to dilute their power. I've always said like all everything, all roots, everything leads back to this, doesn't it? You
I
know, to
mean,
back to
yeah,
capitalism, doesn't it? I mean, it's.
for sure. The thing
I sound
is
like a I feel like I sound like a broken record sometimes
so look,
talking about these things, but
I'm glad we're talking about this. I'm really happy we're talking about this because I actually have these talks all the time with my bandmates.
mm,
Um, and this is a really important topic. And so I want to say, the um, the establishment. Um, fuck. Can you say the last couple of words that you said before I started talking? I had a brain fart real quick.
I was talking basically about how I you know I think about these things and all the roots lead back to all the things
Capitalism.
lead back to
Okay.
capitalism. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
the damn.
So you're having chats with your
Okay,
bandmates
so
about
the
these things.
reason why,
Yeah.
so
Mm,
one of the biggest issues that we're gonna have when dealing with capitalism in the future, and we're gonna have to deal with this. Like this is now. We
mm,
still have to deal. We have to deal with this now, actually. So we have to understand that through history, up until now, there has been no system that produces the quality of work that capitalism does. There's been no system that lasts as long and that
mm,
is as strong.
yeah.
So because of that, it's going to be very, very difficult to do away with it.
Mm,
We're going to
yeah.
have to find either a better way or a way to fix. Either we're going to have to fix it how it is, or we got to have to find a better way. Until we find a better way, there is going to be no way for us to really move.
To move. Yeah.
So we can't move back. We can't move
Yeah.
to communism. We can't move to socialism. We can't move to stuff that we already have, that already exists, that we don't, that doesn't necessarily work. When this
Mm,
one right here is dominant because it's working the best, but it is definitely fucking the worst.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I mean,
Yeah. No,
that
I know. Yeah.
the fucking conundrum, bro.
It
But
really is.
I think as human beings that have to live on the planet and that have to survive, that we can come up with sustainable ways to move with these systems. I'm not necessarily sure if it's, I mean, I'm not sure what we're gonna call it, but I know that we're gonna have to use what we have. We're not gonna be able to just come up with something out of thin air.
Mm,
You know what I
mm,
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
We got all the greatest minds in the world trying to figure out the best way to run a society. I
Yeah.
highly doubt me and you about to come in and like, we got it.
Yeah.
We got the new way.
We got it nailed. We got it nailed. It only took us an hour. We got it done. In hell.
Yeah.
Nobody said you're right. It's an interesting one. Think about what my kind of ideal would be. In a kind of theoretical sort of world. Where it's autonomous. We're autonomous. You know,
Which is probably possible still. Which is probably possible. Because
I
there's a will.
so that's where I sort of struggle is how. how that shift, how that sort of transition happens
collect collectively. As
collectively.
long as long as you have a group of people that are in agreement with you, that's
Mm,
how a government is created. That's how any system or anything happens.
mm,
You and a group have to stand on your power. The problem is how can we do this within the system? Because there is
yeah,
a way. There is a way to do it within the system
mm,
without going against them, without fighting with them. Because the minute we don't want to create a problem with the system, we just want to live peacefully and sustainably without
mm,
them fucking up our shit or fucking up other people's shit. Honestly,
mm,
I don't like the fact that my money is used to fucking fund war. I fucking hate that. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I don't get to say nothing about how my dollars are used, bro. That's disrespectful.
yeah.
So, I have a lot of pet peeves, but at the end of the day, we are still here today. We're alive. We have a system. We have means. We have ways to do things and move. We're not so debilitated to where we can't really make a way for ourselves.
I
It's
guess it's
just,
no, go on.
yeah, it's just the system, man. How much they don't like what you're doing.
I guess it's yeah, those kind of small actions that you take yourself to, where you know that, where you spend your money is being used to sort of fund war, to fund, kind of genocide, to destroy the, pollute water, whatever. If the like you say, about that sort of collective, do that sort of collectively. If people take charge of their own little areas, do their own things, and bring a lot others along with them. I mean, that's the ideal, isn't it? That you start with that because those small areas are ones that where you probably have the most influence.
Hmm.
You're never going to get, lobbying government. It's never going to fucking work. They just don't listen. But if you can start with your own actions, just those autonomous actions that hopefully bring along other people, perhaps that's the way.
Yeah, I think it's for now, it's really the only way. And until more people start to do that and create their own little communities where we kind of,
Mm,
share with each other and help each
yeah,
other stay
yeah,
sustainable. I'm kind of doing that. I'm trying to do that with some of my musicians right now.
yeah.
And it's, right now it's only a dream, but it still can't become a reality.
Mm,
Um, but I think that'll happen. I think it'll happen sustainably, organically, and through time.
mm,
And I guarantee you, by the time that we start doing it,
mm,
you're gonna be doing it, and a whole bunch of other people are gonna be doing it because naturally and organically, sustainably, and through the
yeah,
universe, not even through our own, it's in the chemicals of the world. It's in the
yeah,
planets. It's in everything. The DMT, but no, DMT is in everything. It's in plants. It's in if you take it to the molecular form, you'll find that there's a chemical that literally exists within everything in the planet. But basically,
yeah.
what I'm saying is that what is happening with the collective consciousness of human beings on the planet that are gravitating towards a more sustainable way to live on the planet,
Mm,
we will have communities all around the world where we can go and we can live in sustainable, peaceful, very enriching environments.
mm, mm,
You can do it right now. You can do it right now by going to festivals.
yeah,
You can book 10 festivals in America right now. You can book 10 festivals in America and go from festival to festival to festival and barely spend money. But you got to be you're going to have to be like actually a part of the festival though. But it's not even about the money. It's more about you can experience living in peaceful, sustainable conscious environments that are very enriching by going
mm,
from festival to festival through America. And you'll keep meeting people who are all on the same tip and who all think in the same way.
interesting,
That will exist in communities bigger than just festival communities.
interesting. That's so basically through the festivals, you're kind of building that community.
It's already been happening. Did you see about Tulum? Did you know about Tulum during COVID?
No, no.
During COVID, they were partying like no tomorrow in Tulum. They were having
Oh,
festivals
in Mexico?
in Mexico, turning up. That group of
Right,
people, that community
right.
of people, that all comes from them doing, mushrooms and ayahuasca, and they do
Ah,
the spiritual. They do drugs that awaken them spiritually. It makes them more in tune with the planet and with
yeah,
nature itself. And
yeah, yeah,
because of that, they find each other. They
yeah,
gravitate towards
yeah,
each other, and
yeah.
and the more and more that the masses either start to either somehow become conscious
Mm,
or start introducing psilocybin into their system, hopefully through that right now it's becoming legal, and they're actually doing like therapies where you come to the therapy and they take you through the mushroom
yeah,
trip, uh but clinically, and at a
mm,
doctor's office. The
mm.
more that happens and the more the masses actually start to really become conscious and
Become conscious.
understand, then
Mm,
they'll be over there with them. They'll be doing it the same thing. They'll be on the same. They'll be thinking the same things you're thinking and I'm thinking, and then
yeah,
they'll actually do it.
interesting. Well, now that well, I should say you've sort of solved the world's the
Yeah,
future of the world,
right.
basically. No, no.
Nah,
What
yeah, I
what
wish.
what's next for you? Like on the music front, what's coming next for you?
Release this album, and hopefully I get to go play at every big stage ever created. Man, I really,
Yeah.
really want to play on some big stages.
Mm,
The most people I've ever played for was like 5,500,
wow.
and it was it. I want to get better at it because I felt like it was my first time getting in front of a big crowd. I
Mm,
didn't get to really express myself. I didn't get to use any tricks of the trade. I didn't get to speak to the people. I was shaking the entire time. My legs
really?
did not stop shaking.
Wow.
I, no, they couldn't see it though. I looked poised. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't tell, but God, damn, I was
You
smiling
felt
and I
it.
looked. Oh my God! If you look at me, bro, it looks like I am chill as a fan, man. But if you were like on the stage, my legs literally in my pants, I could just
Oh
feel
my
my
god.
knees hitting the side of
You
my
need
pants, bro.
to
Just, oh my God, bro. And I'm just thinking to myself, please stop shaking. Just stop shaking, bro.
and
Stop.
you're thinking everybody else could see my knees going like this.
I did
And they
think that I was
can't, and
like,
they
no, I was just
can't.
like, I hope they don't see. I was just saying, I hope they
Yeah.
don't see my legs. I hope
They
they don't
won't
see my
see
legs.
anything.
Yeah, they did. I saw a video of it, and I was like, God, thank you, God. But yeah, man. So I want to play in bigger stages so I can get them jitters off. When
Yeah,
I
yeah,
when I first started, it was the same way. When I was playing for one person, 10 people, 100, 1,000, all of those, when you get to those different levels, you just need to get the jitters out. You just have to do it a couple times and you'll get used to it.
yeah, yeah.
So that's really my main reason for wanting to do bigger crowds and bigger stages, because I want to be able to play a stadium one day.
Mm, yeah.
And to get to that level, bro, I need the experience. I
You need the
need to
experience.
have yeah. So
What do you think do you think you would feel more comfortable in front of smaller audiences or bigger audiences, or do you feel that you need to
well,
get that bigger audience experience to then work out what's your
I need the bigger
good?
audience experience. I've been playing in front of small crowds for a long, long time.
Yeah,
500, 100, 200,
yeah.
50. I have that down packed.
You've got that down, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and even the big crowds, I finish my sets. I remember the words. I do everything I have to do. But in order for me to actually take it to another level, I need to start communicating with the crowd. I need to start getting the people in the crowd to scream or to wave or to be with me.
Mm.
If you know what I mean, I need to learn how to move the crowd,
So,
and
but
that
okay, yeah,
takes time. That takes time and effort, and you have to actually play big crowds and experience, talking to them and get into it.
yeah,
It's even with the way that you speak to the crowd. There's a way that you speak to 50 people versus a way that you speak to 1,000.
yeah.
You know,
And
So
would you yeah, no, I hear you with that. And would you, you know, sort of look for other, I know we were talking about other bands and things like that, but other kind of artists to tour with, you know, to perhaps get access to those
that would be a great
bigger
idea. That would be a great idea. That is something I have to look into. Right
mm,
now, the album isn't out,
yeah,
so once the album gets out, I can start looking towards
start
doing
looking
stuff
in
like
those,
that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
when's the album out? Or when are you hoping for it to be out?
No tentative, like no actual date right now,
Yeah,
but right now we have enough artwork. We have a few videos. We have the songs mixed and mastered. We have everything we need to release the music. We just want to do it probably with a company,
yeah,
with a mom and pop that actually,
yes, of course,
can
yeah,
promote it properly. The problem is finding those companies is not
yeah,
easy.
not easy.
Even finding you, even the guy that we have working with us now, like
Yeah,
people like him are godsend.
yeah,
They don't exist. You have
yeah,
to. So yeah, it's not
yeah,
easy, man.
not
Luckily,
easy.
what I'm doing is, I guess, people believe in it, and they enough to help out, or to
Yeah,
help find the avenues, or help
yeah,
us get
no,
through those avenues.
get
Yeah,
through it, yeah. No, I hear you.
yeah. But with the
Okay.
radio in Switzerland too, Color
Oh, yeah,
man, bro, like those guys, if it wasn't for them, like they've been putting my song on the radio.
get
They've
some good coverage
literally
from them.
been blasting my waves, the words that I say, bro. I'm not saying,
Yeah,
I'm saying it straight up. I say there's only one race, there's a human race in a song. I say that on air.
yeah,
There's only one race, and that's the human
yeah,
race, and people have to hear it. And you listening, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
yeah,
literally influencing people in the world in a better way, and thanks to them, and people who actually, care. Like, it matters so much to me that they didn't do it because we paid them. They didn't do it because
yeah,
I was some special nothing. They did it because of what I'm doing, because of what I'm saying, because of the
yeah.
message.
Which is where you're, you know, kind of like those actual relationships where you kind of, you know, build a relationship with somebody and you learn what they're about, you know, about what's, you know, what their essence is. That's you you know, you've talked a little bit about sustainability. That's where those that's where those sort of long-term relationships come from, and where you're gonna get the most. You might get some short-term gains when you pay somebody to do something and stuff like that or whatever. Doesn't It's not lasting, and it's not built on any substantial foundations. It's the relationships. I've always believed that that's where you make things happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And even when I pay, we I don't pay people because I want. I pay people based off the relationship more, like more.
Yeah,
It's not like
absolutely.
I'm paying for the service. I like you as a person. I like you as an artist, and I'm paying you your rate because,
Yeah.
because you have to get paid for your time, but not
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely, absolutely. There we go. Job done.
yeah, that's it. Let's
It's
go.
been
All
so
right,
good to
man.
talk
That's
to you.
good.
Really
Yeah,
good.
man.
Really great
I
to talk to
enjoyed
you.
that. Yeah,
Oh,
bro.
good
Me
man.
too, man.